Alright fellas, here we are back in Pokemon Masters. So, Summer 2023 Liza and Celesteela are going to be dropping tomorrow. Great. So, this sync pair, I don't have many things to like or dislike about them, right? I have pretty neutral feelings on them overall. They're a good flying striker. I'll just say that right now. They're a really pretty strong flying striker. Probably the strongest? I have to think of all the flying types in the game, but I'd say she's probably the strongest flying type striker in the game. Maybe strongest flying type unit overall. I mean, if we want to look, yeah, after a quick glance, yeah, she's definitely the strongest flying type unit in the game for sure. But I still don't recommend summoning. I don't. I'd say it's easier to say to not summon for Liza here than it is for Tate, because Tate's got a lot of great utility on him, and he's on Steel type, which also is a type that really needs help, like flying. But Liza here is just another damage dealer, and I've spoken a lot about damage dealers and my recommendations for them, because new damage dealers come out every, data mine, and they're all really good and all that stuff, right? So, I mean, if you want a good damage dealer, there's a lot of units that you can, go for, right? And if, flying is your favorite type, Celesteela is your favorite Pokemon, Liza is your favorite character, or you just really like the kit here, then sure, summon, because, I always recommend summoning for your favorite characters or a pair you really like. But there's going to be a lot of strong, strikers, and I can't really recommend people summon when there's a lot of similarly strong strikers coming out, right? It's just a matter of preference and if they're your favorites or not. Like Lysander, I wouldn't recommend summoning for him unless he's your favorite. Eugene last month, same thing. Let me think of another strong damage dealer. Emma, same, thing. Just those type of things, right? But we'll look at Liza here a little bit more in detail, and we can, I can give you a little bit of a good rundown on what Liza can do here, and, her strengths. So, she's a flying striker, we've already stated this. She drops, tomorrow and lasts until July 17th, so she lasts for about 2 weeks. Pretty, average time span for a seasonal unit. And level 150, 5-star stats here. She has over 700 HP, 431 attack and special attack, a little bit over 160 in both defenses, and 297 speed. Pretty low speed overall, pretty average striker bulk, and pretty good offenses, right? So, about average stats, I'd say, for a modern day striker. Not as low on the offensive stat as Eugene, but Eugene also has a lot that makes up for it, right, in terms of multipliers. But let's look here. So, she's got Flying Shift as an ability, which makes her Giga Impacts here, which she has Giga Impact, which makes her 223 base power Giga Impacts turn into flying, obviously. Shielding, Infliction +9, raises her defense by 2 whenever the Pokemon uses a status move, which is going to be useful for both her Protect and Iron defense. She generally just works off of having defenses raised. So, if you have a Iron defense used here, it'll raise your defense total by 4 instead. If you use Protect, it'll also raise your defense there as well. So you'll be having a lot that's going good for you there in terms of raising your defense as high as possible very, very quickly. And then Infliction, Freebie 9, applies the free move's next effect to the user when its Pokemon uses a status move. So after using Protect or Iron defense, you will then have a free move next in order to use another one of those, or, well, another anything else if you already use Protect, because one move point. But, a free move's next generally to use Giga Impact, right? So, there you go. Having those free moves next is very good for the slower units, because they need gauge efficiency. They need something to help out in that department, and, this is probably one of the better ways to do so, right? I don't really care enough to use status moves often, but hey, yeah, it's a solid method to be able to use Giga Impact more reliably, right? But anyway, we already went over the 3 moves here. Let's look at her trainer move, which raises her accuracy by 1, her crit by 3, and raises her attack the same amount as her defense is currently raised. So the way she's built is you use Iron Defense or Protect, and then you use the other one, or just Iron Defense again, whichever. But it looks like to me they say Iron Defense and then Protect, and then trainer move, and then sync with someone or Liza, and then start spamming Giga Impact, right? And if need be, you can then use Iron Defense in the middle of that in order to, have another free move in order to use Giga Impact, right? And even, with that being a little bit quirky, it doesn't matter. Just out the rip, bring her with Sonia or someone, or Ingo, someone who's got good gauge efficiency, and she can buff her defense or have your support buff your defense, and then she can use her trainer move here if you want. You don't even have to do that. If you bring Sonia, you don't even have to use this. The only thing this does would be raise your accuracy. That's it. but then you can just start spamming Giga Impact, coming off of a 430 base attack stat. Very, very reminiscent of, you know, Lance, right? That's probably the best similarities to these units, you know. If we want to go look at Lance here, 450 special attack, you know, if we compare the stats here, 470 special attack, and then, you know, Hyper Beam, of course, which obviously was really strong. It was a really strong attack, and that was the, you know, the big thing for him here. Liza's got a little bit lower, but similar attack stat, right? And she's got Giga Impact, so she's going to be hitting, you know, the same rough level as Lance's Hyper Beams. So keep that in mind, but of course without multipliers, so you can't really include the Furious Brain or anything from Lance here, right? So keep that in mind. I'm actually going to go, can I open Lance in a new tab? Sure, I'll just do that. Okay, Liza. So if we want to look at her grid, 1 of the 5, pretty sure it's just some move gauge refresh stuff, which is nice. But of course she has free moves next, so it doesn't really do too much. Giga Impact Accuracy, which actually just completely mitigates the need for this accuracy buff, which basically means that you can just bring Sonya, get an NPR with Sonya, and you've already maxed all the stats that you need to have maxed. So the accuracy is nice, I guess, but other than that, 1 out of 5 is not that great. 2 out of 5, she gets Sync Nodes and Tough Sync 3, as well as some stuff like HP Advantage 4, Super Victory, and these type of things, but realistically, Super Victory, while good, for sure, you don't really need in order to actually, you know, work as a striker, especially being super effective, at least not in the modern day, because you're already hitting for such high damage. This only really works for characters, in my opinion, that have like a ton of offensive moves of different types, like Sigma Suit Giovanni and Rose, or if the striker has super low like strength, like Palatine's Elisa, for example, where she has to use Fly, which is a lot different, or Metronome, which is just luck. But for modern strikers that, you know, have these 3 or 4 gauge powerful moves and just, you know, keep repeatedly using them, super effective next and stuff like that on their own grid isn't really a super notable thing. So I'll just keep that in mind. But the 2 out of 5 here is actually pretty solid. HP Advantage 4, I forget their multipliers, I forget how it works, but it's damage up nonetheless, so that's good. 2 Sync Nodes, of course, is very, very strong as well, and you've got the Tough Sync here for a 30% power boost to your Sync move, so that's also very, very nice, just for having 2 copies, right? Kind of reminiscent of Lance's 2 out of 5? A little bit, not really. He's got 2 Sync Nodes, of course, but he doesn't have a method of buffing his Sync Strength. Instead, he's got Furious Brain, which is just better. But overall, I think these 2 are very comparable to each other, just in general. Maybe it's better to compare to New Year's Liza. What does Liza get at 2 out of 5? Bronze Sync. Yeah, actually, Lisa's a pretty good example, I'd say. She doesn't get the Sync Nodes, but she does get the Brain Sync 3 here, as well as having similar offensive stats to Liza, right? 426 attack, 431 attack. So very, very similar here. These 2 are very, very comparable units in strength as well. So if you have New Year's Liza, you can definitely take a good look at how strong Liza will be in, you know, in, I'm trying to think of it, like corresponding strength, I guess. So there's that as well. But overall, 2 out of 5, not too bad, for sure. I wouldn't exactly recommend candying to just 2 out of 5 and staying there. But if you manage to somehow get a second copy, you definitely got a lot of good strength here, right? So that's nice. But then 3 out of 5, of course, is the meat and potatoes of this unit. Tough Cookie, Towering Force, obviously the 2 Sync Nodes here as well, and then some other stuff like this Status P move, Physical Boost 2-9, whatever you call these abilities, and then Protect also has it as well. So looking at these abilities that she has, 100% chance of increasing physical moves up next by 2 when its user's Pokemon uses a status move. You're already going to be using status moves in order to get free moves next or buff your defenses, or just to apply damage guard, I guess, in Protect scenario. So this is already going to be giving you +2 physical moves next completely for free, which is insane to me. Absolutely insane in terms of strength. How do I want to pick this up? Towering Force, yeah. You could pick up something like this as a realistic scenario where it's like half sync, half DPS grid, where you can get this physical boost here, which is +2 physical moves next just for using a status move. That's insane. But then if you also want to somehow change around this grid here and pick up this Protect one, it'll boost your physical moves next by 3 when you use Protect. That is insane. That is an absolutely insane ability here. She buffs physical moves up next for herself, just out the ass. It's insane. Physical moves next is crazy, and you being able to do it by yourself at such ease is definitely very, very strong, and that is one big reason as to why Liza here is already a really strong striker. But even then, take away these 2 abilities, you still got Towering Force for a sync multiplier, Tough Sync 3 for a sync multiplier, 4 sync nodes, and Tough Cookie. Compare that to Lance, a unit I've been comparing to non-stop, 6 sync buffs, and Haymaker. So consider these into account. She's got 4 plus a multiplier plus a 30% multiplier. Lance has 6 nodes and a normal multiplier. They're not going to be. I think Lance's multiplier, sync nuke is still a little bit stronger, but they're going to be hitting the rough, same area. And then she's also got the same multiplier, being a 30% multiplier here, like Furious Brain in Tough Cookie, right? So essentially, to keep it simple, Lance and Liza are very similar in strength. If you want to look at how they're going to do off type or just in general, compare them to each other, and that is the the general area you're going to see, right? Unless you want to pick up these physical boosts here with Protect and the status one here, and you're going to drug her up with. That's a bad term for it, I'm sorry, but if you're going to buff her up a lot with physical moves next, then that's also something you can consider doing as well. If you're not going to go for a full sync route or a DPS route or whatever, and you just want to get these physical moves up next, you can definitely make that work too, right? You've got 5 turns before the enemy sinks in Champion Stadium generally. Use Iron Defense 4 times, get +8 physical moves next, and then just smack the enemy with a Giga Impact, and the enemy's going to go down. The enemy is not going to like that, right? So it's going to be a pretty fun time in order to do that. But overall, Liza's got a lot of good strength here. She's easily the strongest flying striker in the game for sure. She's got a lot of similar strengths when it comes to being Lance post power boost, which if you've not seen my Lance showcase, maybe go watch it. He's really, really strong, really, really crazy unit, really, really fun unit just in general. And she's very comparable to that, which I think is an amazing thing, right? Very, very similar in strength there. And also very, very similar in strength to New Year's Liza, where she's got, inertia, which is very similar to Towering Force, of course, ramming speed, like Liza has Tough Cookie, and then probably a little bit of other things that I'm not really noticing at the immediate moment. I guess weird vibes. I don't know why you're running her in fucking Psychic Terrain, but sure. But yeah, stuff like that, right? And Bronze Sync, so they've also got very similar strength there as well. And you're, very, very similar units here. Lance, Liza. Those names are getting me fucking confused. There's 3 L's. But Liza and Liza are there. Ooh, okay, whatever. But yeah, Liza overall, really strong flying striker. So if you like what you see here, and you really are feeling tempted to summon, go ahead, throw yourself some multis, do what you want. It's your game, your choice. Personally not recommending summoning because strikers are very abundant, and if Liza's not one of your favorite characters, then I'd say probably skip it. But if you're looking for a flying striker, if that is your penultimate goal, a flying striker, Blue is getting his grid expansion for Pokemon Masters Day. You can wait 24 days as of the time of recording this, and you can get Blue here with his grid expansion, and he's looking really good. I will be doing a showcase over him when he drops. If you want to wait for that, see how good Blue is before investing, well, you would have to. Well, Liza doesn't last that long, I guess, but still, I'd say Blue is definitely strong enough for you to make easy work of any realistic flying stage, other than ones with Wise Entry, I guess. But still, Blue here is going to be really strong, so you don't really need Liza if you want a strong flying striker. Also, if you can be held over with Duroc, who's solid on flying damage. He's a tech, but still really strong. You've got Lodge Serena, who's also a really strong tech. Nate's okay. Kahili's pretty solid with her Sync Nuke. You can definitely make that work as well. And there's just a lot of options you can make work. Even pre-boost Blue here, you can probably you can do things with them for sure. You definitely can. But overall, Liza being the strongest flying striker in the game, I probably don't recommend summoning for her. But of course, if you really, really want Liza, then of course I'm not going to stop you. I physically cannot. But I physically wouldn't try even then, because play the game how you want. It's it's all up to you, right? It's up to you and how you want to play the game and whatnot, the risk you want to take, and all that good stuff, right? So, summon for Liza if you want to. I don't personally recommend it, but that's just how these videos go. I make recommendations. I don't force my decisions upon you. It's all up to you. But anyway, I digress. I'm going to end the video there, guys. I hope you all enjoyed. I'm going to be doing dailies for Liza until her banner ends. Hopefully I can pull her. It'd be nice. But yeah, I'll see you all later. Hope you all enjoyed.